Hi, Baba.
A Māori mother who we cannot legally identify, video calling her baby who was taken into state care last year.
It was heartbreaking.
She believes the uplift was racially motivated.
There's no other way to describe it, but it comes down to racism. There's nothing that I could have done right in the eyes.
The disproportionate number of Māori children being taken into state care has sparked multiple reviews. This one by the Waitangi Tribunal says the Crown has intruded on the ability of Māori to govern their own communities.
There's a pretty clear, if not damning, indictment on the Crown's numerous treaty breaches.
The tribunal doesn't call for Oranga Tamariki to be abolished, but wants an independent Māori authority established to eliminate the need for state care of Māori children.
Step down and Māori now. It's our turn now to put right, the wrongs that were done to us.
The report also urges government ministers to watch the full video of a baby being uplifted in Hastings, saying it makes the case for reform better than any report.
Whilst I haven't always seen individual clips, I have generally seen uplifts.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Oranga Tamariki wouldn't do an interview today, but in a statement said the recommendations are significant. However, those recommendations aren't binding, so the next step's up to the government.
As the government just received it, I do want to make sure that we take the time to go through the report.
And we'll come out with a response in time.
But this mother is sick of waiting.
Stop saying you're going to do it. Just do it.
A simple call from a mother who wants her baby back. Rosie Gordon, Newshub.
Great. Could we just start off, if you could just kind of run me through the date that your baby was uplifted. When did that happen?
So she was uplifted at the end of
March,
yeah,
2020. And what was that experience like? When did you find out that that was going to happen?
So when my daughter and I came home because I self-discharged her from the hospital, I didn't find out until I was asleep in my bedroom after midnight, and there was a knock on the door, and my dad came in to let me know that they were there to take Baba.
Who was there?
The police and Oranga Tamariki.
How many police were there?
From memory, I think it was about 2 or 3.
And thinking about that night, I know it might be difficult, so if you don't want to go into it, you don't have to, but thinking about that night, when you then found out from your dad they were there, what happened after that?
What do you mean?
What happened after that? Did you sort of talk to them, or what did they say to you?
I asked them why you was trying to take her. I went along and discharged her because there was nothing that the hospital could do for her. She was going downhill. So I asked them, why are you here to take her? And they said, all they kept on saying was, we're here to take her. We're not here for anything else. We have to take her. And they threatened to barge in the security door if we wouldn't let them in. And I said, well, I'm not prepared to take my daughter out of her bed when she was sound asleep. Nothing wrong with her. She was sleeping. And they wanted me to take her out of the bed and put her into their car to take her to the hospital.
And at what point did you hand her over, or did they come inside?
They said that I was allowed to go with her, so I packed up my belongings and hers, which I had not long ago, earlier in that day, actually brought into the room. So everything wasn't even put away. I had to get what I could and then get it into the car. They were making me hurry up, so I bagged it up, gave it, put it by the door. Police officer handed it on to, I don't know who it was either another police officer or Oranga Tamariki staff. And then I said to them, are we ready to go to the hospital? So I'm not prepared to get my daughter out of her bed when she's sleeping. And they said, yes we are. So I grabbed her out of her bed while she was still asleep and proceeded to take her up to the car.
And then they took you to the hospital?
Yes.
Where they kept her for some time, or what?
So we got, she got readmitted back into the hospital, but when she was readmitted into the hospital, there was nothing wrong that I had done with her since she had been, I had self-discharged her, but it was all because she just was going downhill.
What was it like to have that happen to you, to have the police and Oranga Tamariki show up at your door and tell you that they were going to take your baby away from you?
It was heartbreaking. It was hard enough seeing my daughter go downhill in the hospital, let alone them trying to take her away from me. Knowing that the treatment that the hospital had done for my daughter was not working.
And why do you think it is that OT treated you the way that they did?
To some degree, I think it's a personal vendetta, but the majority of it, there's no other way to describe it, but it comes down to racism. There's nothing that I could have done right in their eyes that would have stopped them doing what they wanted to do and was taken from me. I did everything right by my daughter, and yet that's still not good enough for them.
What makes you think it was racially motivated? What makes you sort of say that?
Because I followed the medical breeding plans, I did everything that was asked of me, and yet it was still not good enough for them. They could see that my daughter was happy with me. It's not my fault that the breeding plans from the hospital that they gave me to give to my daughter just didn't work.
And a year on, you're still fighting to get her back.
Every day.
What's that fight like for you?
It's hard, but I'm not going to stop until I get her back, and it's good that I at least have my father's support with me.
Why is it important that you have her back? I mean, I know it's a really obvious question, but why is it so important that you have her in your care?
Because when she was with me, she knows she's safe, loved, and she's in an abusive-free environment. She shouldn't be in a placement where she's being abused.
And you're worried about her safety in the current placement right now?
Every day. Not knowing what's going on, only when I see her in person, which is not enough time, then I know she's safe. She knows she's safe. But whenever she has to leave, she hates it, and I hate it.
Today, the Waitangi Tribunal has published a pretty big and pretty damning report on Oranga Tamariki and how it treats Māori families in particular, and the disparity between the uplifts of Māori children and non-Māori children. There's a recommendation that there be a Māori authority established to transition the power away from the state. How much of a difference would that make to you, and what's your reaction to that news?
It would make a good change, but that's the thing, is there's always this talk about it, but no action. Decades and decades of, the system going the way it goes, and all the kids, including my child, going through it, and yet no change is actually done to help these kids not go through the abuse that they go through. Other situations that they go through that they don't go through with the whānau that did have them. Yes, there are cases where, they do actually do better, but that completely is outweighed by the unfairness and injustice that they do cause to all tamariki.
You've put it really well, and this report, it is just a recommendation. It's not binding. The government doesn't have to do anything if it doesn't want to. If you could say something to the Children's Minister today, what would your message be?
Stop saying you're gonna do it. Just do it. Our tamariki, we need them safe. There's too many statistics on them passing away. And that's one of my fears, is I don't want my child to be a statistic. They can make the change. They got the power to do it, but they refuse to do it.
And you just want her home?
Of course I do. At least I know, and she knows she's safe, she's loved, and she's, got nothing to worry about when she's with us. It's a shame to not be able to say it for the other side of her whānau, because she should be able to feel safe and loved. but that's just not the case.
Can you quickly just describe to me what her medical condition is? What's it called?
She was IUG in the womb, which then led to faltering growth in the when she was born. To this day, she still does not have a diagnosis.
Okay, but she doesn't. You've had problems with her eating and that sort of thing, so she doesn't feed that well. Is that one of the key issues? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, those are all of my questions. Was there anything else that you wanted to say?
Is they stop doing it to our Tamariki, give them back to where they know they're safe and loved. And I want my baby home. I want to know, and I want her to know that she is safe here. She knows that. So just bring my baby home, where she belongs.